Yes, folks, hello, welcome once again to MoDXtra Games and Collectibles. It's time for another action figure review here on the channel, and as you can see on the screen in front of you, today's installment is all about taking a closer look at the G.I. Joe Classified Series Richard Crystal Ball King. Yes, very excited, folks. Here he is. He has arrived. Crystal Ball is here in my hands. And so I'll be giving you a good, thorough review, good, thorough overview of this figure. Going to start things off with a look at the packaging, get a sense of the peg presence and, you know, what the packaging is all about for the minting box collectors. Then into the figure itself, and we're going to talk about the aesthetic and the visual experience, going to talk about the articulation and the posability, and have a rundown of all the accessories and added value. So by the end of the review, and it should be a nice thorough review, you'll know all you need to know about Crystal Ball, so that if you've been thinking about picking one up for yourself, or you got them on pre-order and you're in two minds whether to keep the pre-order in, you'll have, you know, good information to make a decision about the spends from your wallet on this guy. So let's get on with it, and let's go back in time to visit past Chris, who's taking a look at the packaging on the day Crystal Ball arrived on my doorstep. All right, here we go. Okay, folks, here we go then. Here is Crystal Ball in packaging then. So standard G.I. Joe Classified Series packaging with the carbon fiber motif around the side. Name of the character, Richard Crystal Ball King. G.I. Joe Classified Cobra logo because he's a Cobra character. Then a window showing off all the goodies inside. Then on the back, got a digital render of Crystal Ball in action. If you're interested to know what that particular scene is referencing, it's an Easter egg, folks. Then go check out my most recent Easter egg video to learn more about the comic book issue that scene appeared in. A couple of breakout windows showing off some of the key features. He's number 159 in the line. Import sticker again. Shout out to In Demand Toys for their sterling import work here in the United Kingdom. Legal bollocks and malarkey there across the bottom. And then, of course, we've got the file card. Let's learn more about Crystal Ball together, folks. All right, then, first here, we've got like this little sword and key thing there. Crystal Ball, some of you might not know, but he's an avid comic book reader, and one of his very favourite titles is Joe Hill's Lock and Key book. He's got every edition, the omnibus, out on his shelf, loves it, and declares it as his favourite to anyone who might ask. Then we've got this shield symbol here. Crystal Ball's a huge advocate for internet safety. Get your ad blockers, get your virus protection, all that good stuff. He's got a little bit of money on the side in a company there, bit of entrepreneurial spirit in kind of, internet protection. This is a lightning bolt in like a little globe thing there. That's actually a snow globe. Crystal Ball has an extensive collection of snow globes at home. He buys one wherever he travels to. And that's one of his more recent purchases, one with a lightning bolt in it. Why? Who knows? And then finally, we've got this like little puppet here with a little puppet master hand across the top. This is because Crystal Ball is a massive fan of good old-fashioned seaside Punch and Judy shows. Got the artwork up on the side there, so if you're minting box and you display them on your shelf with the artwork facing out, that's what you're going to get. It's all right, it's not too bad. Some of the more recent ones I've been less pleased with, but this one at least has got a bit of flavour to it. Still can't shake the feeling though that they're not AI generated. Then on the other side, repeat the file card, the QR code to nowhere, little sepia tone version of the artwork, all good. And there we go. So as always, folks, I'm going to go away, get this bad boy cracked open, get good hands-on with him, have him as a desk figure for a couple of days, do some posing, take some photos, check him out on some shelf displays with a few choice characters to see how he fits, see how he feels, gather up some review thoughts, and I'll be back to share those review thoughts for the rest of the video. So stick around, because future Chris is going to be back with you in 3, 2, 1. Okay then, folks, well, here is Crystal Ball as he came out of the package. I'll get started with a full head-to-toe view and just soak in this awesomeness. Spoiler alert, this is going to be a positive review. I've had a very positive experience with this figure, and it begins with the visual experience. The aesthetic on this guy is brilliant. I love it. This is classified at its very best, where they take those kind of vestigial, nostalgic, core vintage ideas from the character in the comic books and from the cartoons or whatever, well, in the comic books for this particular individual and the vintage figure, and they modernize it with a classified twist and just create something new and exciting, but still acknowledges just everything that was great about the character. Although I know that some of you would argue that there wasn't anything great about the vintage version of Crystal Ball. Just the shelf presence of that is awesome. I mean, it'll be no surprise to the regulars around these parts. I love the barmy freaks and weirdos and out there stuff in G.I. Joe. I'm all for it. And this guy represents very much the freak and weirdo out there side of G.I. Joe. But yeah, soaking that head to toe look. This is classified at its absolute best. Bringing him a bit nearer to the camera for a closer inspection of the finer details. Let's get started up top here. Look at the head sculpt, guys. Look at the head sculpt. Really love this head sculpt. Lots to love here. I mean, fundamentally, on the kind of G.I. Joe classified head sculpt engineering, we've got good facial features there. You know, the chin, the cheeks, the nose, the brow and the eyebrows and all that good stuff is in there. Great paint applications. If you look at the mouth, look at the paint applications on the lips and the teeth. His little moustache, his eyebrows, got these kind of evil, glowing serpentine eye things going on. Got the smudged makeup in there to make him look even more intimidating. And even down into the sculpt in the teeth, we've got these little pointy vampiric kind of, vampiric canines, which are giving him a more ghoulish, more menacing edge. Yeah, sculpt's good as well. Got the little flashes of grey in there, just like the vintage figure. Little nod towards the OG character there, but modernised a little bit. Well, I say modernised, it's a total mullet, so you tell me how modernised that is or not. But yeah, it's good. It's a little bit plasticky, which does sell that head sculpt a little bit short, but overall just a great experience. Then moving further down, we've got the fur on the collar of his big long leather coat. Lots of details in here with the sculpting on the fur. Little buckles and studs everywhere, all with paint applications, individual paint applications, which is great to see. Got the leather padded sections on the shoulders here as well, sculpted with a bit of a different texture and design, and with a paint application along the trimmings of it there. Into the main body, we've got his two little kind of necklaces, with these little kind of, again, supernatural kind of mystical symbols on them. These are a little bit annoying, actually. I don't know if you can see, they just sort of sit up a bit on his chest. You have to sort of press them down and fiddle around with his head. His mullet makes them lift up because the rubbery tubing that they've used on there is quite firm, but that's is what it is. I've lit him quite brightly so that you can sort of see some of the detail, like the leathery texture in the coat, the buttons painted in there, look, which is really great. Then on his t-shirt, under the coat, you can see he's got a little bit of a tat, again with a sort of mystical vibe about it, across the top of his chest on his v-neck there, and then this little kind of gold symbol painted into the t-shirt underneath. Just detail everywhere. Another mystical kind of tattoo on the side here. Got his little armor pieces, or as my friend over at Shark Eye Toy Reviews would say, his pauldrons, Adam and Aaron there. But then moving down into his little kind of wrist pieces here, his little braces with, again, little paint application on the little jewel piece there and some sculpted details in. Got his rings all over his fingers on this hand. Then on the other side, more mystical tattoos. He's got a full gauntlet situation going on here. Again, with kind of sculpted in armor pieces across the top, but then with the brown trimmings on the glove, the brown leather trimmings on the glove, and then with his kind of spiky claw-like fingernails on there. And while I'm around there, look at the detail on the back. Little pouches, the leather padded sections in here, the belt across the middle, which is sort of hanging down loosely and kind of flapping dynamically in the wind. Got just the torn up edges there. Across the bottom of the coat, really nice to see. Painted belt buckle. Folks regular around these parts will know I love a good painted belt and a good painted belt buckle. A lot of the kind of design motifs in here are all that kind of Illuminati, Eye of Providence type stuff in there. You can see it on there. And you can see it in the designs on some of the tattoos and stuff as well, which is nice to see. Pretty sure these are reuse legs, but they're fine. Again, they've got textured detail in, they've got pouches and stuff. It's got his little pistol holster on the thigh here again, with the molded details in there, with that kind of mystical vibe. And again, that kind of Eye of Providence thing, the all-seeing eye to, I don't know, bless or curse his revolver. And then into the boots. Have we seen these boots before, guys? I'm often quite forgetful about this stuff, but you folks who watch the vids are usually quite sharp-eyed. Have we seen these before? Whether we have or we haven't, again, they add to that whole aesthetic. They've got that kind of mystical adventurer, evil sorcerer kind of vibe about them for sure. The colours are good. You know, the brown leather jacket looks suitably brown and leathery. There's these symmetrical elements to make it easy on the eye with the kind of bracer pieces on the wrists. The grey pants seem to fit nicely with the brown leather and the brown t-shirt. And the two shades of brown set each other off quite nicely, which gives him some peg presence and some kind of eye-drawing character. Big old firm thumbs up then on the visual experience. The aesthetic of this Crystal Ball character in G.I. Joe Classified has pleased me a great deal. I've said it before, I like the IDW continuity version of this character. And while he had big wild hair and long nails, he also had the long leather jacket. I kind of like how they've taken inspiration from all these different kind of Crystal Ball interpretations and created their own Crystal Ball interpretation as well. That all works for me. But ultimately, just the shelf presence of the aesthetic just looks different. It's got real flavour, real character, real personality to it, and I am very, very happy with it. So there you go. That's the aesthetic then. That's the visual experience. Let's now take a look at the articulation and posability, shall we? So as always, folks, I've put timestamps, I've put chapters in down below. The articulation is standard G.I. Joe Classified series articulation. So if you've got no need or desire to watch the articulation rundown, you can avail yourself of the chapters down below and head on straight to the accessories and added value. But if this is the first G.I. Joe Classified series video you've ever watched, or you're interested to know if there's any particular quirks or anything that stands out around articulation with Crystal Ball, stick around, I'll give you the rundown. So, starting up top then, we got the ball at the base of the net, ball in the base of the skull. The head movement's all right. The mullet and the high-collared coat here get in the way, basically. There's no actual problem with the articulation other than these kind of practical restrictions in place. So the down's all right, but your up's restricted. The mullet catches on the back there. Your full 360 is blocked somewhat by this high collar, but you can definitely get enough movement, within that shape there, and your tilt and swivel and stuff. So it's there. It's a bit restricted by the way this coat sits across the top. Then moving down into the shoulder, got the butterfly joint under there. You can see it underneath the coat if I pull it back a bit there, but yeah, it's there, giving you a little bit of shuffle forward and back. It's then the peg and hinge on the shoulders, giving you the T-shape up to there. Obviously, these shoulder pauldrons and these shoulder pads on the leather coat are getting in the way. And you can full 360 it, just about moving along the curve there. Standard swivel at the top of the bicep and tricep. And there's double elbow that'll get you up to there. And then pegged in hands that can swivel at the wrist, and these have both got up and down hinges on either side. Into the torso, it's the hinge across the front there, and then the ball joint in the way, so you got decent crunch forward. You'd have more crunch backwards if the coat didn't get in the way, and then swivel and stuff there in the ball joint. Standard drop down hip joints on G.I. Joe Classified there, you got a good forward look. You can get your Russian ballet out to about there, with the holster and the coat getting in the way. Swivel at the top of the thigh. Pinless double knee that will go to there. Obviously, the coat gets in the way going too far back. Boot cut at the top of the boot. And then the standard hinge and rocker in the ankles. So, yeah, he articulates fine. It's a thumbs up. As I pointed out, your main challenge is the jacket just restricting some of the movement around the neck pieces and around the hips and the leg area. But overall, it's standard G.I. Joe Classified series articulation. There's a world of possibility there with that articulation as it stands. Again, regulars around these parts will know I'm a fan of it. So you can let your imagination run wild and tell your stories using the articulation that's available to you pretty well. And I haven't found anything that I've tried to do with him that I haven't been able to do to my satisfaction, which means the coat's not really getting in the way that much at all. So there you go. All right, there you go. There's articulation then and posability. Let's now take a closer look at the accessory selection, shall we? And let's get started, folks, with the head swap. Check this out. This big old kind of horned Cthulhu Swamp Thing beast is a proper mixture of all sorts of influences in here. So I'm sure as many of you will know, Crystal Ball, according to the lore, his whole thing is hypnosis and mind control. And in the G.I. Joe Classified context, Lenny has said on a stream when they revealed the figure that the idea is that he's kind of hypnotizing, mind controlling the Joes to hallucinate these kind of freakish things so that he can overwhelm them and, overpower them and, pop a bullet in their brain. So this is a manifestation of one of those hallucinations that he's forcing upon his opponents. Although I like to think of him as a legit kind of freaky psychic. There is an IDW continuity storyline called Infestation, where it's actually, it leans into the sort of mystical side of Crystal Ball. And if you want to play in that space, you can play in that space too. So it's in this kind of translucent green. It lights up well. I've been playing around with my multicolored light. If you go take a look on my Instagram, you'll see a picture I took recently, or in the community posts on this very YouTube channel, you'll see a picture I took just messing around with some green lighting and stuff. But it's got some nice sculpting, lovely details. Like you can see the details there in the horns and these kind of weird fin-like ears and the tentacles all sort of dangling down in a twisted way. Got the paint applications in the glowing red eyes and the glowing third eye on the forehead there with some kind of black trimmings there to make them stand out, and then the kind of nose skull vibe on the front there. And as you turn it around, you can see kind of more kind of skull-like sculpting across the back, and then more kind of like sea monstery sort of stuff all the way around. So yeah, really fun, really awesome. Obviously really opens up a world of possibility with your photography and your kind of storytelling with this character. It's really, really fun. Then we have the kind of two component pieces of Crystal Ball's Hypno Shield. This is how he conducts his hypnosis, by making his opponents stare into his shield and get hypnotized by him. On this design here, you can see he's got this kind of snake serpenty-like trimming around the side, and obviously a big serpent-related motif in the main body of the shield image there. This is a little lenticular image, so I don't know if you can see, if you benefit from that on camera, but if you sort of move it up and down, you can see the snakes writhing and moving in and out of the skull there. And that's very reminiscent of the original design, although the original design had like a 60s pattern in it. And you can see a nice sculpted detail in there, got this kind of Celtic shield sort of vibe about it, with the handle for him to hold on to, and the arm clip. The handle is a bit loose. These arms up the side that hold the handle are a bit, I don't know if you can see me wobbling it there, but it's fine once you've got it in his hands. So you can use it that way if you want a kind of more classic look, or we've got this kind of translucent green, again, sort of mind control hypnosis version over the top. You can see that it's a 3D sculpted replica of the design in the Hypno Shield base here. And it's got all nice sculpted, you can see the serpent scales. There's your all-seeing eye, your eye of providence there on the front of the skull and stuff. And this clips in over the top. You can see these clips around the side, so you can just sort of clip it into place by just clacking it in, giving it a lot more depth. Look, you can see there, nice bit of depth, nice bit of colour. Again, this reflects a good sort of yellow or green light blasted on it really, really well. And then just on a practical front, if you want to chop and change, you can see it's got like a little thumbnail tab at the top there, so you can pop it out. And then Crystal Ball has a crystal ball. Here it is. So we've got the transparent crystal ball, the transparent plastic. Then the brackets on the base holding the crystal ball in place are in the green, in that green kind of translucent effect, in that tentacle pattern that matches up with the head swap there, which is all fine. And again, looks great under a green or a yellow light. And then inside, I don't know if you can see that, but there's like a wailing skull on the inside there, again in that translucent green. In fact, let me bring it a bit closer. Maybe you can see it if I bring it a bit closer. All right, with the lights reflecting on it, that's about the best I can do, but hopefully you can see there's this wailing skull in there, folks. Looks really awesome, really like intimidating, and obviously adds that mystical, supernatural, psychic vibe. You know, whether you're explaining in a way with hypnosis and mind control, or whether you want to lean into the kind of culty villain thing. Take your pick. Then moving into Crystal Ball's weapon loadout, we can see he's got this kind of scimitar sword piece here. Again, in that translucent green effect with these sort of green flames coming off it. And again, your decision. That could be a mystical sword with a mystical power on it, or it's his mind control, it's his hypnosis causing these kind of hallucinations in his opponents. We've got a nice hilt there. Again, these little kind of circular eye motifs in there, although they're not quite as detailed on the sword. They're there to keep it all tied together with the flavour of the rest of the motifs in the aesthetic. Yeah, I love this. Yeah, look at that. I've turned a load of the lights off and look at the way the green light's reflecting through that. It's awesome. And on the shield there, look at it. And the head, oh, love it, love it. Hours of fun for the photographers, this one. Then we have his 6-shooter revolver here, kind of got that classic sort of 18th century, 19th century kind of 6-shooter look and feel to it, which again just really adds that sort of retro mystical kind of vibe. It's such a mismatch of stuff, you know, all these kind of mystical imagery, and then like this kind of sort of Wild West 6-shooter, which I really, really love. Got the little serpent, the kind of gold or brass serpent design coming down the barrel there. But ultimately, it's just a single piece of molded plastic. But really, like just even his pistol just adds to the flavour and the character and the personality. I love it. And this can be stored in the holster. There's under his coat over there. It can be a bit of a pain to get it in and out with the way the coat drapes over the top. So you have to sort of pull it back and pop it in like so. He says, get in focus, like so. And then finally, on the left hand here, on the gauntleted hand, we've got a hand swap. You can see it's the clawed gauntlet there with the hand kind of out in a more open palm kind of situation, like look into my eyes, stare into my hypno shield kind of stuff going on there. Or, you know, like just scratching the shit out of someone's face. Again, whatever takes your fancy with your head cannon. But it's nicely sculpted. It's got an up and down hinge. Yeah, usual routine there. Another little hand swap. So big old thumbs up on the accessory selection here. I think it's just a great bit of storytelling that can open up a wide world of possibility with the way you display, the way you pose, the way you take photographs, little dios you can create, all that good stuff. Obviously, your mileage will vary into the kind of, you know, like supernatural aesthetic, the supernatural vibes that these like really push out on the figure. The standard head sculpt with a pistol is one thing, but you know, crystal balls with wailing skulls in and flaming swords and Cthulhu masks and things, you know, your mileage will vary as to how much you want to lean in or lean out of that stuff, how much it appeals, how much it doesn't appeal. You know, that's entirely up to you. I'm into it, as you can probably tell, because I like the wacky shit. But even then, you know, I can see there being a place if you're a Monster Force guy or something, you know, to slot it in there. So yeah, I'm all for it. But like I say, the mileage will vary for others. You know, you might find the accessory selection quite limited because you're not really into all that translucent green supernatural stuff, you know. So there you go. All right, well, there's the accessories and added value. Let's now take a look at Crystal Ball next to a couple of other characters, shall we? And to get us started with the comparisons, folks, here's Crystal Ball next to Dr. Mindbender. I don't know why, I just feel like these two are a good fit. In fact, I'm toying around with making a little change to my display, going for a bit of a freaks and weirdos kind of setup, and this pair will definitely be going on that. And here he is with Firefly version 2, as depicted on the back of his packaging. Here's Crystal Ball with Darklon, fellow, you know, weirdo sword wielder. And here he is next to Law from the Law and Order set, which will be the next G.I. Joe Classified Series review on the channel. Here's Crystal Ball then for you folks, doing a little turn on the turntables. You can have a 360 view of the figure. And while you have an eyeball of that, I'll just offer up a few final thoughts. I think it's pretty obvious from the review. I freaking love this figure. I'm all over it. Fell in love with it the first time I saw the digital renders. So I may be offering a biased view because maybe this was an inevitability, but he has lived up to those expectations that were set, I suppose, is the key point there. That even though I was up for him, he was on my wish list, I was waiting for him, I'm excited to see him, he's lived up to the expectations, and that's, you know, I'm not sitting here disappointed going, oh man, now I've got him, you know, and that's a great thing. Like I said before, your mileage will vary, how much you want to lean into this kind of mystical stuff or not, mind control-y stuff, hallucinations, blah, 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 or not. But you've got to admit, as far as shelf presence goes, he's got a really interesting character. Really interesting character. It really stands out, even among some of the more wackier stuff already in the line. There's something about him. Hypnotic, you might say. So I'm a fan. Loving it. So there we go. That's my review of Crystal Ball. If you've been thinking about picking one up yourself, I hope this has helped you out. Or if you've got your pre-order in, or you've got your fingers crossed that Walmart aren't going to do their usual North American Walmart shenanigans. If you're in the United Kingdom, In-Demand Toys do still have a couple in stock, at least the last time I checked. Whether by the time I've edited and posted this, that's still the case is yet to be seen, but they do still have some. So if you're in the UK and you shop with In-Demand Toys, head on over there. You can get one from those guys. Tell them I sent you. Otherwise, thanks for watching, folks. Do the YouTubey stuff, like, subscribe, blah, 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 blah. But all that remains to say is have a great day, have a great week, and, come back round, swing back round for another video sometime soon. It'd be my absolute pleasure to have you here with me. All right? Okay, well, take it easy, folks. Bye-bye now.